What's up everyone? Welcome to the postcard review of this stacked weekend. I don't know exactly the dates, I'm going to skip that. But for this weekend we're reviewing 4 different cards. The Joshua vs Prenga card, probably the biggest card this weekend. Tyson Fury vs Wach. Errol Spence Jr versus Tim Tszyu. And the Zuffa Boxing Berlanga vs Butler card. And we'll get straight into it with Joshua vs Prenga, the talk of the town of the weekend boxing. Damn, Anthony Joshua. Two knockdowns in the first round by Kristian Prenga, both by uppercuts. If there's one thing that Joshua has lost since, I'm gonna say, his win against Otto Wallin, is his defense. I don't know why he chose to adopt a style that has his hands down, or at least very low, where he doesn't protect his chin well. And he always has a habit, for some reason, of when he goes back to the ropes or backs up, he just does not defend. And when he's going back to the ropes, he has his lead hand out, so he can't defend hooks, which is what happened when he got almost knocked down again after the first knockdown, and only the ropes were there to help him. And before I go to the second round, there was a lot of conspiracy about the results, saying that Kristian Prenga, this was a fixed fight. Conspiracies, because Kristian Prenga didn't do anything in the second round, really. He didn't go after Joshua the way people thought he would. But there was a clip that I remember seeing about Prenga's corner giving him some, honestly, very shit advice.
Round, right? I don't want you to rush though. Be patient, double your jab. Up and down with the jab, then the right hand will come. Just don't throw it, all right? Keep your left hand high though, okay? Deep breath, give me a deep breath. Great round, but now I need you just to understand. Do not rush, because you'll open up while you rush. Keep it tight, double the jab, but go up and down with your movement, then the overhand is gonna come, okay? Hands up there, keep your hands up. Here, take another.
It was like, don't rush, go in with a double jab. Like, why would you do that if you're Prenga? You've already hurt Joshua twice, and probably more than that. If he did what he did the first round, he could have actually gotten Joshua out of there the second round. But I think the corner sold it for him, because during the second round, Joshua was much more composed, and he had much more success because of Prenga's inactivity, and that led to Joshua's knockdown, where he had a 1-2 first, which rocked Prenga, and then Joshua followed up with a 3-punch combo, ended it with the right straight, and that dropped and ended the fight for Joshua. So thank the Lord he got the win, because that could have ruined a very, very big fight. I don't know if it's very, very big now, but could have ruined a big fight. And something about Joshua, I think this has always been there. Well, ever since Andy Ruiz, it's been there. Whenever he gets hurt or like hit with a good shot, he panics a lot. And when he panics, I think he slips his defense, and that's what makes him lose more than he should, or makes him lose his rounds more. And of course, there have been events in his life recently that may have enhanced it, so no shame on him. It's the blessing that he even fought in the ring tonight, on that day, so props to him. But if he wants to continue on his career, probably just fix up the defense and try not to panic so much when he gets hurt, when Joshua gets hurt. As for what he should do next, I think it's either the Fury fight or retire, because even if he retires, he's had a great career. No shame on his career. Probably not arguably, definitely a Hall of Famer. So if he retires, farewell AJ. But if he wants to keep going, I think it's the Fury fight. And let's just continue on that card with what I think is the most disappointing performance of the night, other than AJ, which is Hamza Shiraz versus Simon Zakonuba for the WBO Super Middle title. Before I start breaking it down, what was Hamza Shiraz's game plan? Because if his game plan was just knock him out, god damn, he did not approach it very well at all. I didn't score the fight, but I was watching it, I got the sense it was very close. Hamza Shiraz definitely did not do enough to get a dominant win. He might have done enough to nick the win, but I don't know why he didn't use his jab more. And he just came forward with the high guard. And near the end of the fight, he had a low guard. Like, why? If he had established the jab and it worked off the jab, and if he threw more uppercuts, because Simon Zakonuba had a very open guard, I think. So if Hamza Shiraz went and threw more uppercuts and set up some shots with the jab, I think he could have actually got him out of there by TKO. I don't think he would have knocked him out, but I think he could have TKO'd him potentially. But the way Hamza Shiraz approached the fight was just not it. Round 1, yeah, both Hamza Shiraz and Zakonuba were open to body shots in that first round, because their guards were kind of opened. But nothing really happened that first round. It was like rounds 1 to 4, nothing really much happened. And for Hamza Shiraz, what I can say that was good, his most success I think came from the left hooks to the body. Which, fair, but it didn't really do much, so I wish he had more variety in the shots. Whereas from Zakonuba, I don't know what he did from well. I think Zakonuba also had good body shots throughout the fight. And also, for Zakonuba, I think the reason Zakonuba won some of the rounds was because of just his activity. Because his activity was a lot more consistent to the body. But overall, it was not a great fight, was it? But I think we have to credit Shiraz's lack of activity partially to Zakonuba's decent movement. I saw his fight against Pavel August, I think, who was also on this card, and I saw Zakonuba had good movement, decent movement. So I was going to bet on this fight, Hamza Shiraz by decision, but I forgot to actually put the bet on, so shame on me. But overall, next fight for Hamza Shiraz, since he is the champion, there's another fighter on this card that I'm kind of curious to see against Hamza Shiraz, but I'll talk about him later. But another fighter that probably should get the chance against Hamza Shiraz is Diego Pacheco, because he's in the WBO rankings. Or Hamza Shiraz just unify. But to be honest, I don't know about Shiraz's prospects of unifying. If he goes and fights the champions like that, he might lose his belt very quickly. That's it for Hamza Shiraz versus Zakonuba. And I think the other significant fight, the other only world title fight on this card, was Josh Kelly versus Keeman Agyako for, I think it's the IBF Super Welterweight Championship. From rounds 1 to 4-5, Josh Kelly looks incredible with his movement. So fast, and his jab is so sharp and fast. It's such a snappy whip-like jab. And that was really enjoyable to see. But I will say, it was like rounds 1 to 4, there wasn't really much that happened. But I think Josh Kelly just did enough with his jabs and a few combinations to sneak the rounds. But during those rounds 1 to 4, he did get caught with some jabs, so he needs to tighten up his defense a bit more, I think, because he is one of those fighters to have a low guard. So he does have to rely on his footwork and upper body movement. So naturally he has to work on his, he has to have very nice reflexes, which he does. But I think he should try and utilize a bit more of a guard at times. I think for Josh Kelly versus Agyaka, the most exciting round was round 5, because Josh Kelly just, for that first minute, just blitzed with some combinations, which I think did slightly wobble, maybe not wobble, just slightly stun Agyaka. I think that was probably the most dominant round for Kelly. But from round 6 onwards, you could tell Kelly was starting to gas a little, and also there was a point deduction in round 6 because Kelly hit Agyaka at the back of the head, so naughty, a bit dirty from Kelly. From round 7 to 12, there was good shots landed from both. And then from round 8 onward, Kelly was getting caught with way more shots than necessary, I think, which I think adds to the stigma of Josh Kelly that he just declines in the second half. But he is so unbelievably good in the first half that he nicks the rounds at the end, nicks some rounds at the end, and he wins. Yeah, but I think one shot that you can catch Kelly with pretty often is the overhand left, whether you're southpaw or orthodox. Because Kelly did get caught with the overhand left several times in this fight. But overall in this fight, decisive win for Kelly. Although he did fade in the second, I'm gonna say last quarter, rounds 10 to 12, he really faded. And of course he is susceptible to overhand lefts. And for his next fights, I think I heard or I saw that he's in talks for a unification bout with Jaron Ennis. I'm excited for that fight if that happens. And Jaron Ennis has a mean left hook, so I'll be excited to see that. The fight below, the fight just before Josh Kelly and Agyaka was Reito Tsutsumi versus Herrera. It was a, super featherweight bout. The brother of Hayato Tsutsumi, which, if you don't know, the pair of brothers are standout amateurs. So it was nice to see Reito featured on this card. And round 1, you could immediately tell Reito's defense, his guard is so nice, and he has a very piston-like jab. It's kind of similar to Inoue's jab, I would say. And in round 1, he was utilizing very nice feints to the body, level changing, and due to that, there was a big monster of a left hook that he landed to score a knockdown. And then the second knockdown in that round, he landed a right hook. And at that point, you could just tell, nah, you probably shouldn't, the Herrera shouldn't go on. But round ended, and then round 2, Tsutsumi lands a brilliant left hook this time. And then after that knockdown, yeah, wave it off, done. So overall, Tsutsumi gets his win. Very dominant win, showcasing more of his skills, so that's good. And I think he's ready to fight top 15 of any of the sanctioning bodies. And I don't think it's a bad idea to progress him a bit quickly, because I think he has the skills to display it. But the fight that was an eye-opening fight for me was Jacob Bank? Yeah, versus Pavel August. Jesus Christ, Jacob Bank is a weapon. He is a dangerous fighter at 168, at super middleweight. I first knew about, I think I'm guilty of not knowing who Jacob Bank was until the William Skull fight, where he looked really good against Skull, had like 3 knockdowns against him. But this fight was, he looked scarily good in this fight. His reflexes and ability to just reach shots with, wow, world class. And I'm really excited to see more of him in championship fights. So if I was just to go through the rounds, round one, he starts off establishing a lovely jab and incredible defense. I don't know how he does it, but damn. Round 2, there was more lovely jabs that he landed, and then he started implementing very good straight shots to Pavel August. But I will caveat what I am saying. I think Pavel August was the completely right style, because Pavel August had a style where it was just walk forward and not throw much defense with a high guard. So it was like perfect for Pavel August to just tee off and evade shots from. But still, that doesn't stop him from looking incredible in this fight. And I think Jacob Bank was so confident. There was some moments in the fight where I thought, wow. Round 3, he was, I think it was 2 minutes 30 into round 3. He was grabbing onto the ropes and just throwing punches from there. Round 8, I think there was more funny moments in round 8 where he just squatted down and then and I'll find the clips and then show it. And the round 3 is where he started throwing uppercuts to Pavel August, which was very nice, because that's what you should do against someone who comes with the high guard and bends a bit down. Just throw a few uppercuts in there. And then basically from rounds 3 onwards, it was just the same process of Jacob Bank, just incredible upper body movement. He has very good legs. Pause. He has very good feet. Pause. And yeah, he's just, wow. It was an eye-opening performance. If you look at the rankings, if you just look at the rankings, he's number 2 in the WBO, number 13 in the IBF, and number 2 in the WBC. I know Diego Pacheco is probably more deserving due to the breadth and length of how much he's fought for a title shot. But to be honest, I'm more excited to see Jacob Bank against Hamza Shiraz. And to be honest, I think Jacob Bank has a pretty good chance if Hamza Shiraz doesn't fix his game plan. But one thing I do question is his cardio. Although he did look pretty good in the 12th round against William Skull still. So I think his cardio is pretty damn good. But can he do it against adversity? Because I think a style that could work really well against Jacob Bank is someone that's aggressive and just doesn't mind trading. Or someone that's an elite counterpuncher. So if he was to fight someone like Kristian Prenga, he might have a nightmare of a time. But if he fights Hamza Shiraz, though Hamza Shiraz that fought this day, I think Jacob Bank could actually win that fight. The fight before Jacob Bank versus August was Nishant Dev versus Diaz. This was my first exposure to Nishant Dev, and I was impressed. I was very impressed with this fight. This was a super welterweight fight, and what I noticed for the duration of the fight was Nishant Dev has really nice footwork, and he's really good at making angles. Because of round 1, the first knockdown he scored, he threw a left hook plus a left hook body shot while he was changing angles, which I thought was very impressive. And he scored 3 knockdowns in this fight. The second one, throwing a beautiful left hook to the chin. And then the third knockdown, throwing a combination ending with the right hook. And then that stopped the fight. So that was a very good win. Not opponent-wise, but just to showcase the talents of Nishant Dev. And then the last fight that I thought was notable in this card was Alexander Kishniak versus Patrach. Why I thought this was notable was because I'm excited to see Alexander Kishniak in the pros, because he's probably one of the best amateurs with a highly decorated amateur record. And I'll probably show you some of his notable wins in the amateurs. But this was a light heavyweight bout, and when he came out for the first round, I thought he's very jittery, and I think he's still trying to acclimatize the professionals, because he came out very jittery, I think he threw a bit too much in that first few seconds, and he did get caught with a few shots. But no worry, because he acclimatized very quickly, and you saw his defense, his upper body movement was... One thing about Kishniak in this fight was he never moved more than he needed to, I think. I think he can chill with the amount of punches that he throws and be more economical with the punches. But his head movement, body movement, he was very economical with it, and he didn't move more than he needed to. So that was very nice to watch. And keep in mind, this was his second fight. Round 2 was where he scored the first knockdown with the left hook, and I think it was just overwhelming him, and the left hook landed. And then the second knockdown, he threw a combination ending with the straight right, and then the fight got stopped. So to round it all off, I think Alexander Kishniak, he has a lot of potential, but he still needs to have more fights to acclimatize to the professionals. And that's going to sum it up for the Joshua versus Prenga card. A fight that happened hours before this fight was Tyson Fury versus Mariusz Wach, which was not streamed at all, so I had to find a YouTube video of the fight. And a lot of people are giving Fury shit, because apparently he looked like shit. I don't know. I honestly think Fury looked alright. I think he looked better than AJ did, at least. Given Mariusz Wach, I'm pretty sure, was 46 in this fight, and he is one of the slowest heavyweights I've seen. But still, Fury looked good. Kind of. I could definitely tell he slowed down, but he still had decent hand speed. He could move around pretty well, and he could throw decent jabs to throw Wach off. But one thing Fury should be careful of is that he got caught with the right hand quite a bit. Given Mariusz Wach is probably not the strongest heavyweight, so him catching Fury with the right hand wasn't too consequential. But if he gets caught with the right hand of Joshua, for example, that could be a different story. But Fury threw nice feints, a good amount of combos in that fight, and he didn't look too gassed in that fight. even though he was leading the fight. So I think if I was to predict Fury versus AJ right now, I'll probably pick Fury. I don't think it's out of the question to say by knockout. But I don't think Fury's going to go for the knockout. I think he's going to go for like a clean sweep decision. And I honestly think it might be a replica of the Fury-Klitschko fight, where it was 12 rounds of just him moving and just confusing him. There was also Spence versus Tim Tszyu in Australia. It was meant to be super welterweight bout, but it turned into a middleweight bout, 160 pounds, because of the request of Errol Spence. If I had to summarize this fight, round 1, rounds 1 and 2, Errol Spence did pretty well due to his volume, and he was setting up a jab, or he was trying to set up nice jabs. And for Spence, what was best for him this fight was the body work. He was investing a lot to the body, but it wasn't really strong shots, and I don't think Spence is really known to be that strong. He's more known for his voluminous style. But what really defined this fight, and what defined the win, probably dominant win with Tim Tszyu, was the straight right. Because Tim Tszyu was laying out straight right all day on Spence, and he even rocked Spence quite a few times with that right hand straight. And yeah, there wasn't too much that happened after that. It was a pretty good fight. So I commend, and even though Tim Tszyu won, and I personally bet Tim Tszyu by decision, so I got good money for that. Credit to Errol Spence, because this was him after 3 years out of the ring, after his devastating performance against Terence Crawford. So I commend him for trying really hard in that fight. And Errol Spence announced his retirement after this fight, and I forgot to say farewell. And I've enjoyed your career. You've had very decent wins at welterweight. You reigned welterweight for a long time, and you lost to probably the best fighter in Terence Crawford. So congratulations, and enjoy your retirement, Errol Spence Jr. And the last significant card of this week was Zuffa 09, Edgar Berlanga versus Steven Butler. And for this one, I'm going to talk about 4 fights on the card, and I'll start with Otto Wallin versus Sirenko. It was a heavyweight fight, and before I start, I'm just going to say Otto Wallin looked fat as fuck. I don't know if he's always looked this fat, but he looked massive in this fight on the stomach, and I think that's what made him gas out pretty damn quickly in this fight, because he's just not conditioned properly. And just for this fight, there was not really much that happened, because both Wallin and Sirenko just fought in the inside, very, very pitter-patter shots. It was like arm punches most of the time, but even then, Otto Wallin still gassed pretty damn quickly. It was like the 3rd, 4th round where he started to breathe through his mouth. And then round 8, I think Sirenko landed a good uppercut during then. That was like the notable thing in that round. And then round 9, though, Sirenko had a good spell of success, which I think staggered Wallin and made him back out for a little moment. And then round 10, in the final seconds of the fight, Sirenko lands a right hook, left hook, or is it left hook, right hook, that just knocks out Wallin. And in what, maybe one of the knockouts of the year contender? Because, yeah, after those 2 shots, Otto Wallin was just slumped on the floor. So that was very nice to see. But other than that, I don't know, this fight didn't have much stakes, I guess. So we're going to move on to Jalil Hackett versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. This was a middleweight fight. And to be honest, nothing. Hackett looked alright. I'm not too convinced about him. At times, Hackett showed a very nice jab. And good. It was round 3 was where I think I saw pretty good lead hand movement from Jalil Hackett. But Sergey Derevyanchenko is always a tough opponent. Because obviously he is tough. But he has lost to the top echelons of fighters such as Gennady Golovkin, Jermell Charlo, Christian Mbili, Carlos Adames, Jaime Munguia, but he's never got knocked out. So that's pretty good. And it's a good win for Jalil Hackett. But I don't think it was the best performance. I think Jalil Hackett could have done a bit more. But I've got to say, Derevyanchenko was a very, very live opponent, especially in the latter half of the fight. It was very action-packed then. And from like the 7th round onwards, it was very enjoyable to watch actually. But I think even with this win, Hackett probably needs another fight on this level to establish more of his game. Because I think he needs to develop more of an inside game. But other than that, he looked alright. And the co-main for this card was Richardson Hitchens versus Salas at welterweight. This was Richardson Hitchens' welterweight debut. And I've got to say, I think Richardson Hitchens did look a lot better at welterweight. Because you could tell from like just the entire fight, he had a very nice jab and his footwork was very good to just evade and just spin Salas around. And for like rounds 5 onwards, Hitchens was landing very nice counters and counter combinations against Salas. And even moving up 7 pounds, Richardson Hitchens had very fast hands. So even though I think Richardson Hitchens has a stigma of being boring, you can't deny Richardson Hitchens does look pretty damn good. And this was a dominant victory. This win puts Richardson Hitchens at number 2 in the IBF and number 5 in the WBA. And the current champion in the IBF rankings is Liam Paro. So maybe Richardson Hitchens could revisit that fight for maybe a welterweight championship, or he could potentially wait for the winner of Rolly Romero versus Teofimo Lopez, or he could fight Catterall for the WBA interim, or what do you call it, regular title. And the last fight that we talk about on this video is Edgar Berlanga versus Steven Butler at super middleweight. Now, before I watched this fight, I had a little prediction that Berlanga would win by TKO. And that's because if you looked at Steven Butler's record, it's not always like this, but I just did it for this one. I'm pretty sure Steven Butler had 5 losses, and all of his losses came by stoppage. So that was a pretty easy indicator for me. Round 1, there wasn't really much that happened. It was a more passive round, with Berlanga trying to set up a jab. Round 2, there were some right hands from Berlanga, but near the end of the round, it was like the last 10 seconds, but Steven Butler scored a knockdown with the right hand. So that's not a good sign for Berlanga's chin and his defense. But then round 3, Berlanga started to land much better shots with the right hand, and even an uppercut. And just throughout round 3, he had a lot of good success. Round 4, I think there was more success for Butler this round than there was for Berlanga. Round 5, I don't think really much happened, except there was one time where a big right hand from Berlanga was landed. And then round 6, there was big right hands for Berlanga, which momentarily stunned Steven Butler. And then he scored, and then Berlanga scored a knockdown of his own by throwing 2 left hands consecutively. And then round 7 was the last round, because Berlanga landed 3 big left hands onto the chin of Steven Butler, and then the fight was stopped. Yeah, about the stoppage, I think it's okay. It's an okay stoppage. I can understand it. I don't think I have too many complaints about the stoppage, because Butler just took the shots and then he probably got stunned, which I think the ref could have probably counted Butler and then counted him out. But I'm not going to complain too much about it. So overall, I think this was a decent performance, although Berlanga still needs to clean up his defense, because it's very it's not very tight, in my opinion. And yeah, he's ranked number 11 in the WBO, and I don't think he should be fighting Shiraz again, because that was pretty brutal the way he lost to him. So I would stay far away from that and probably fight someone else in the rankings to build up more of your fundamentals. But that's going to conclude all the fights that happened. For next week, the fight I'm looking forward to the most is William Zepeda versus Lamont Roach for the WBC. And that card in general I'm excited for, because on that card there's also Raymond Morataya versus Robson Conceição for the IBF lightweight title. So I'm excited for those 2 fights. But other than that, I know this has been a long video. I tried to shorten it as much as I could, so I'll say it here. Like and subscribe. I'll end the video now. Bye bye.